Hello, everyone. This is Siddharth from Turnpikes. Today, I'm going to take you through a few features of our Insight Analytics dashboards for Vim. Now, why am I taking you through these dashboards? Because this is what we are using to help our Vim customers achieve more value from their solution. And what value? What value is that? Automation. So all our Vim customers are interested in achieving more and more touchless and straight through processing and increase the level of automation that they're currently experiencing. So let me show you how our dashboards help them in this journey. If I now take you to our dashboards, now some of you might already know, for those who don't, we have an elaborate schema, a huge portfolio of all Vim data represented visually into beautiful dashboards. But today we're going to talk about automation. Yeah, when you talk about automation, the context is how many documents are you getting in? Yeah, and then you want to see per company code or per vendor or which channels you got through or which kind of invoices there were, when did you get them, etc. And then you want to know on a very high level what happened to those invoices. Yeah, for example, if for a specific company in the year 2023, how many invoices did you receive? And in my demo case here, you see you have 93,000 invoices from all these different vendors, which are already sorted according to volume, and even showing how the invoices for each vendor came through, which channels. Did it come through your OCR IES channel, email channel, or whatever channel you've configured in Vim? Out of that, which were your PO and non-PO, right? I mean, out of these invoices you received, these were your top vendor PO invoices for PO invoices, and these are your vendors for non-PO invoices. Then you can, of course, see how many were posted, which ones were waste, duplicates, obsoletes, and which one went to exception. More interestingly, which one had touches. So let's say PO invoices. Now, out of the sample size that we are showing here for the specific company code in 2023, 50% were touchless, and then we had a lot of touches. That's good or bad depending on where you are starting from. Now, you might want to then see from your topmost vendor, for example, how is the performance? I mean, 33% of time it is touchless from that single vendor, but then you have different kind of touch in the rest 70%. One would be naturally curious to know where are those touches happening, why are they happening, and more importantly, what can I do so that they don't happen? That will take us to our automation dashboard, where we see the details of these touches. Now again, if I go with the same data set for company code UK10, and I'm interested in the PO invoices for that company, then I want to see the biggest vendor. And now I see insights of what actions did someone do. These are the touches in Vim, like someone pressed a submit button. Obviously, the Vim workflow had stopped at that exception. Change document type. Yeah, so there is, if I click on that change document type, for certain documents, you are receiving it either as a PO, or maybe it's the wrong PO, or you're actually receiving it as a non-PO because the PO is missing. And you might be interested to know which are those documents, because then you want some clarity or more detail to investigate. You can always go through the details available and download or understand your doc IDs that are behind it, right? The Vim doc IDs where the change document type happened for that specific vendor or whatever selection criteria you are going to use. Now, i- the other aspect is what are the exceptions happening that is causing these touches. And the biggest exception for this vendor, interestingly, this vendor also had touchless, is missing mandatory information. So a vendor is not like his and nothing is happening touchless, right? We saw that vendor has zero touches possible, but also in some cases you are having missing mandatory for that same vendor. It could be a human problem, it could be a system problem, it could be a process problem, but that is already defining what you should check next. Because if we address these reasons why under certain circumstances some of these touches are happening, and we are also aware some of these touches will happen because the invoices might go into a block or some amount is wrong for a particular PO. There are good business reasons why touches can happen. But if there is a missing mandatory information, that is something should not happen, right? If your vendor is consistently sending you information correctly once in a while, why should it not? So that could be a system or a process. At least it gives an insight, right? And then automation, as I often call it, a journey. Once you take this specific steps, then you're on your way for complete automation. But it's one step at a time. Another interesting area where we often deal with helping customers achieve more automation is their input channel. Now, there can be different kind of input channels. There can be, for example, uh, an IDOC or a EDI channel, or you might use a OCR. Imagine you are having the IDOC channel. Then you might be interested to know what, what is the level of automation in your IDOC channel, because you would expect be more automated. But but very often we have found that the IDOCs are not so automated as one would expect. The other point of concern is always the OCR channel, because OCR is always about performance, is about how much you automate, how much manual work is required, and there ideally you don't want to spend additional time in validating the OCR, especially when you have bought something like the OpenText invoice capture, yeah, the core capture for SAP or the invoice capture for SAP, which is which is a machine learning OCR, yeah, and that should be working without manual intervention. But of course, it needs certain training if it is not made earlier. So the trick is to find out where do we train the OCR so that we achieve better automation. The way we do that is by, of course, again looking at the data, meaning for a specific period of time, for a specific vendor, which are the fields that are extracted by the OCR, and which are the fields where someone manually is changing the values after the data is extracted. That means these are the fields where the OCR is not behaving properly. As an as a next step, we should then focus on training these specific fields in the OCR or look at the root cause and then measure that again. One would expect that because of the changes what we will do, this would show up, or additionally, due to a change in layout or maybe something else going on, other problems might arise. So it's a matter of how do we set up our process, how do we educate our people, how do we make sure our system is behaving in the way we want it to. And that can only be achieved if you are able to measure it on a continuous level. So that was a short introduction about uh, how we are achieving or helping customers achieve more OCR and process automation using our dashboards. But I would try to take a few more minutes to just tell you something about our new release that we have done recently. And a lot of interesting features were added. This is a SaaS solution, so we often have new releases coming out with more and more enhanced functionality, which is based on customer feedback. Changes have been made on how we measure invoice payments, how we display them, more functionality about calculations. One of the things that I want to specifically talk about is the AP dashboard. Now, the AP dashboard is a dashboard which shows you the state of your nation, all your open invoices in Vim at that moment. All the invoices that are waiting in anyone's inbox can be viewed in this dashboard in in the way of aging as well, right? Which is the most overdue, which one we should focus on, and so on. The biggest change we have done on this dashboard is we have made it possible that it can be refreshed daily. So this dashboard is now available for a customer to be refreshed daily. So every day morning when you come to office, it's refreshed with this is your with the open list for that day. So there's no need to download, run into Excel, and then make your task list. This dashboard will make it ready when you reach office, so you can just look at it and start working. So that was it for today, and then look forward to more interesting informations and knowledge sharing with you in the coming days. Have a nice day, everyone.